you don't necessarily think... I mean, it was still a thing. Like, there were bad people online, but that wasn't a thing that you really thought about as much. I didn't, and I was much older. I am much older than Andrew. And, you know, even in 2007, I wasn't necessarily thinking, oh, there are bad people online, and I don't want to meet them, you know? So that's part of it. Although I never, like, met anybody that I met online in real life, because I'm not dumb, but he was 14.
Even as an adult at that time, I didn't believe anything that people said online because it was
smart.
You knew it was bull.
Right, but when you're 14, it doesn't seem as bull.
True.
Well, and it might be too that Andrew was smart enough to want to meet this guy in a public place, or maybe he didn't even know it was a guy. Maybe he thought it was a woman or a girl. You know.
Gender bending, somebody portraying themselves as one sex and it's actually the other.
It still happens.
That's super common.
Yeah, and then he gets to the appointed place, and there's no girl. There's some guy. He says, "Oh yeah, I'm her older brother. I'm supposed to take you to meet her."
Yeah.
You know, and then
yeah. So I would classify this as the predator theory. That some online predator of some kind misrepresented who they were and lured him to London for any reason. It could have been to come to a concert. It could have been just, hey, come visit me in London. Or, people think, oh, he wanted a new life. So maybe somebody said, okay, I can help you with a new life. We'll talk about new life in a minute.
Yeah, what I was going to say is this whole... So I kept trying to figure out how he could have been, if somebody did indeed lure him away. Okay, well, they looked at the computer and there was nothing on there. I know that you kind of believe that he may have been able to private browse or
torrent. It would be possible, but I also don't think it's likely.
But you know what I really wonder about, because I've never heard any mention of it being looked into? You know he had an Xbox at home, right?
They do talk about the Xbox Live chatting.
And I wonder if he was talking to somebody, because Xbox Live now has the actual text chat function, but that didn't come into effect till 2008. If anybody looked at what games was he playing, hey, can you tell us who was in the game at that time? Because he could have had built an extended relationship with somebody.
Absolutely.
In that world.
Absolutely.
And got talked to that way and then got convinced.
The same is true for I don't know if he was like a WoW kid, like a World of Warcraft kid. I don't know if he liked online games like that, but those all existed too. And you chat with people at that point as well.
Yep.
And that's not necessarily logged.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really good suggestion as well. Although I just think that it's probably not possible to look up that information.
Oh, it's way too late now.
Well, I mean, I think even at the time it probably wouldn't have been possible just because of the huge volume of people that...
you know what? Big data loves data. I bet you that Microsoft is logging the crap out of that stuff and probably had the records for a while. I would say, let's just, they would have had it for months, if not years. It could have been pulled. I bet you if somebody said, I have gone to the judge and I have this order that says, Microsoft, give me this data, Microsoft would have went, here it is.
Similarly,
they would have.
Similarly, one would assume that, the CCTV would have been able to be pulled, but hey.
Yeah, I know. I think, it might very well be that his parents and the police, didn't really, weren't involved in that sort of stuff and didn't realize.
No, it's a game. It's a video game.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Just playing the Nintendo thingy.
Yeah, exactly. But so that's when we could have just been lured to London by a perv, and it's just a question of, the theories is what happened to him afterwards. Of course, everybody thinks that, well, he was, the perv did his pervy stuff and then murdered him. Although for alternative theories, I would say that maybe he's just locked in a basement somewhere, and maybe he'll be discovered alive someday. Although I kind of doubt it.
I hate to say that is one of the most optimistic theories.
It is.
That Andrew is currently locked in a basement
and
somewhere.
Weirdly, it happens, and then these people sometimes people escape and find out about it. Was the women in L.A.? Is that the one last year, the year before?
Yeah.
And, it happens. It's nutso, but it does happen.
Yeah, and he'll have, when he does escape, if he does, he'll have a really interesting story to tell, I'm sure. But another possibility that occurred to me, again, this is outlandish, but possible, is he meets this guy, they go to Starbucks for a cup of coffee, the guy roofies him, and not to have sex with them, but just to like smuggle them out of the country and sell them into slavery. Yeah. So that's another very optimistic theory. Possible, not
London
likely.
to Port Town.
And one of the questions I have for this is, and I asked you already about this, but I don't know if the police, when they are looking at missing children and looking for them, if they check the child pornography sites and stuff like that.
I don't want that job.
No, I wouldn't either. Well, no, what I was thinking.
But you kind of hope somebody is checking them, right?
Well, it would seem like the thing to do. At least send pictures of these missing kids to the sites and just say, hey, would you post these pictures and tell your users if they see any porn with these children in it?
I
don't know if they get any
I don't think
cooperation.
there's that much oversight in those kind of websites.
I don't
because
think so either.
If the police know who runs it to send that information to them, they're busting them.
Yeah, I know. That's kind of the obvious thing there. Yeah, but they could still crowdsource it. They could say, "Hey, pervs, hey, all you pervs out there, would you keep an eye out for this stuff and let us know anonymously?"
Pedo bear.
Yeah. Just as a point of interest, I guess they did search the Thames. Thank you. I can't say that word because it's not spelled the right way.
I know, they misspell everything over there.
Yeah, they really do. They did search the river.
So many angry letters. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We're just kidding.
They did search the river and they didn't ever find any remains of Andrew, so he's probably not there.
Probably not, but there's lots of other places to put a body.
Yeah. Next theory is that Andrew wanted to start a new life. Now, why would Andrew, 14-year-old, seeming relatively happy, want to start a new life?
Well, one theory that I was thinking about is, I have no idea, and I was wondering if maybe he was gay.
Yeah.
Didn't feel like his parents would understand.
Yeah.
His parents they are strongly religious, so I could see where that...
Yeah.
I think he probably wouldn't have a reason to want to run away and start a new life. But as we stated, his parents were very heavily Christian, and they described him as goth.
That doesn't mean that they were going to be intolerant of his life choices.
It certainly doesn't.
I don't want to come across as saying that.
Yeah, exactly. I think that it sounds to me like his parents were kind of tolerant.
They sound like they do seem to be genuine. They do seem to really genuinely love and miss him. On the website that they run a website and they have a letter to him, and it's very moving. But I don't know if I really want to say this or not. But as cynical as it sounds, it's easy to say things like that to your kid after they're gone, and that isn't to make a presumption that they weren't loving and open and caring, but it is to say that as a teenager, it's very often easy to interpret what your parents are saying and doing as intolerant, or even if they aren't intolerant, just to assume, if your parents are constantly saying, oh, I can't believe that this person is gay, I don't know how to deal with that, you're going to say, oh my God, I could never be gay, regardless of the fact of if you came out to them and they would actually say, oh my gosh, we love you so much, of course, we'll accept you. And again, this is not to... I've never seen anything that has said that his parents were intolerant in any way, but I also know that most of the information we have comes from his parents. And again, I hesitate to say that it's easy, because that sounds really horrible and cynical and awful, and I understand that, and please don't write me letters, because I already know how horrible and awful cynical it sounds, but I just want to point out that
it's very curated information.
It is very curated information, and it is that's when you say those things, is, oh my gosh, we never meant to hurt you, come back.
Yeah,
but again, that's not to disparage the family, because as far as I can tell, they are a wonderful, loving...
There's no indication that what we're guessing about is even real.
No.
We're running down a rabbit hole.
Very genuine and amazing, and really just had something horrible happen in their family, and I don't want to cause them any extra pain, but I also do want to mention that.
On the other hand, about the gay running away because he's gay thing, what would argue against that is he's only 14. He doesn't really... and one place I heard he was actually 13. His birthday was coming up. Oh, no, wait. Hang on. I'm getting my Unsolved Mysteries mixed up.
You are. You are.
That's the murder in India. Okay. But he was 14. He didn't really need to decide the whole gay thing. I mean, he may have totally known he was gay, if he was gay. But, he could wait till he was 18 and then go off to college. And
I don't know. It's self-denial. I mean, that seems like a thing. I mean, like I know a lot of gay people who say, like, I've known my whole life and... have been actively gay. for as long as they've been alive, basically.
Yeah.
So, again, that's kind of like asking somebody to repress part of themselves just to stay in their house, which I guess some people do, but some people don't want to do. Yeah. But again, it's hard to tell with him. Another fact you'll see that's thrown around is, I guess, mildly interesting. I don't know how valid it is, but we're going to just throw it out there anyway. It's reported that Andrew's favorite TV show was The Fall and Rise of Reginald Perrin, which is a series. It's a TV series that follows a middle-aged man who fakes his own death to start a new life. But I've read a lot of synopses of this series, and I actually don't think it pertains to this case, at all.
Do you know when did this show come out?
Well, the show originally aired in, the 70s.
1976 to 79 is when it ran.
But then it was released on DVD, actually, in 2006.
But that is so weird for his favorite TV show that he identifies with to be this random TV show from 30 years prior, suddenly re-released.
That happens to be about somebody who fakes their own death and goes to start a new life. Yeah, it is weird. It's weird. I don't know. I mean, maybe his dad liked it,
I think that's where this comes from, is he and his dad sat around and watched it, and he said, "This is great, son." And he said, "Yeah, Dad, I really like it. This is my favorite." Yeah. Whether he was honestly saying that or looking at his dad, rolling his eyes, going, it's my favorite.
Yeah. Here's the thing about running away to start a new life is that pretty quick. You're 14. I don't even know what the labor laws are like in Britain. What if he goes to London to try to get a job and he can't because he's too young?
He's too young.
Yeah, and so pretty soon you're going to run out of money, and you're going to be calling your folks and say, "Hey, can you come to London and get me?"
Yeah.
How do you...
Well, that's why there's this vague mention of him. Somebody said, "Oh yeah, his grandma." I don't know where this information came from, so I don't know I think it's probably totally made up. But somebody said, "Oh yeah, his grandma lived in London, and he ran away to live with her." Or he went to visit her and she was ill, or I don't know why that gets brought up, because it's just in forums and I don't know where people are getting that information from, but people are getting it from somewhere. It's also suggested that, maybe his parents just didn't know he was being bullied, so he ran away to start a new life because he was being bullied, which is dumb. And then, some other people said, well, he was really bored at school, so he didn't want to go to school anymore, so he ran away to start a new life because he didn't want to go to school. But I think that's silly, because if you're smart enough to be bored in school, you say to your parents, "I'm bored in school, bump me up a grade." You don't say, "Oh, I'm bored in school, so I think I better go start a new life so I can prove to everyone that I'm smarter than them." And this is where this part of not knowing anything about him becomes very frustrating to me, because I don't know anything about his demeanor. I don't know. I wish I knew, did he have an ego?
Was he creative enough to come up with that?
Well, not even was he creative enough to come up with that. Did he just think he was smarter than everyone else? Did he think he could pull the wool over everyone's eyes? Or was he just, a normal, smart teenager who was kind of bored? Or was he just rebellious? Or, I don't know anything about him other than that boilerplate of information. And that's so frustrating to me, because I feel like I could more solidly throw my weight behind one of these theories if I understood more about him. Yeah, but there's nothing about him.
I would agree with that entirely.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that if he was bored at school and he went away to start a new life, he probably would have very shortly found himself really bored at his new job at Starbucks or wherever he was working.
Yeah.
And gone home.
Yeah. I think so too.
Yeah.
Or at least contacted his parents at some point. Because they're, every time they do anything, they say, "Oh, and Andrew, if you're hearing this, we love you. Just let us know you're okay. You don't even have to come home."
Well, they do a ton of stuff. They do it a
lot. They really do. They are still very actively looking.
They're very committed to.
They are. Yeah.
To the search. Yeah.
They really are.
Yeah. Well, I hope they get him back someday.
Yeah. So I guess for me, my strongest theory would be that he went to London for a concert. And an accident happened, something happened, he met some friends or met some people he had met online, and something happened and he died, and they tried to cover it up. And the only reason that I say that is because it's the added little bit that in 2008, in November of 2008, a guy showed up at a police station and said he had information about Andrew, and the person who was there said, "Oh, we're not open yet, come back."
Now, I heard that one too,
and he never came back.
When is a police station not open?
Well, apparently this one wasn't.
Really?
Everything. They roll up the sidewalks in Britain at 8 o'clock at night. I kid you not.
Yeah.
It's amazing. We're very spoiled in this country.
I mean, I think certain precincts are probably open. Like, there are probably always police on duty, but that doesn't mean that every single office is open at all times.
Well, that's true. Maybe they're the people at the counter that are there to take your information. Now, I heard another version of this was that he showed up saying he had information, and then by the time they found some policeman to come down and talk to him, that he'd left. That's another version of this. A crank. Yeah,
he could have been a crank, but also he could have been somebody who knew something and felt guilty and was coming forward and then lost his nerve because he thought, oh, I'm going to get blamed for this. But again, that's all. That's the likeliest thing I can come up with because there's just no information about this thing.
Not really.
Do you guys have anything else you want to add?
What I would just say is that if you are I suspect my strongest belief is that he did meet a perv online, and the perv, did his thing and then murdered him. And so if you happen to be one of our listeners and you're that perv,
stop listening now, please.
Please never listen.
No, actually, you can. Yeah, don't listen anymore after this episode. But send us an email. I mean, you can do it anonymously. Get a trash mail account and send us an email and let us know what happened.
Yeah.
And
I don't really want to know.
Just so we can tell his parents and they can have a little closure. Okay.
Or just tell his parents.
Oh yeah, send the parents an email. Yeah, do that. Don't involve us. That's a good plan, actually. Now that I think about it. Yeah.
I personally think that he used his remaining money. He bought another ticket. He rode through the Channel. He went to France, and he's now working at Euro Disney.
They probably would have hired him. Actually,
they would have hired him.
Yeah.
He could have been one of the Munchkins in a number of the rides as a 14-year-old boy, and that is the happiest ending that I could come up with for this freaking story.
That's a good ending.
So I'm sticking to that.
Although the Channel tickets are really expensive.
I bet they are.
They are really, really expensive.
I don't care. Okay. He works at Euro Disney, and he is fulfilled and happy, and he has lots of little mice around him.
All right, so he's basically just Cinderella, but a boy.
Okay.
So I am pro.
What's that? What do you think? Is it you're thinking that too?
Yes, now I'm thinking that too.
I don't think that's it. I think the best case scenario is he's chained up in the basement somewhere. He's going to escape next week or so.
You don't think Disney is the best?
Joe, come on.
That's the best real world one. Okay,
Disney.
all right,
just
fine.
the best
Disney.
theory.
Yeah,
Disney.
Yep.
Oh, maybe he just wants to live on a farm somewhere.
Like Lassie?
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Well, if you have theories about this or any other story or story suggestions, or you want to tell us stuff about things or whatever, you can do that in the comments section of our website, which is thinkingsidewayspodcast.com. Leave a comment on the actual episode, not in like the about the show or anything, because that's really hard to figure out what you're talking about.
Sometimes.
If it's just there,
It's really hard to figure out where I have to move them.
See, there's also links to some of our research and past episodes there as well. You're probably listening to us on iTunes. If you are, give us a comment and a rating and subscribe if you haven't already.
Yep.
You might be streaming us. If there's a way to comment and rate, do that too, please. You can find us on social media. We're on Facebook. We have the group and the page. So you can like us and find the group. If you want part of the discussion, you should join the group. If you just want to show your support, you can like the page or just do both. You can find us on Twitter. We're Thinking Sideways. Reddit. We're Thinking Sideways. It's ours, Thinking Sideways. You can email us if you have any of the things that I mentioned before, like story suggestions or expert or feedback. That email address is thinkingsidewayspodcast@gmail.com. And if you want to support the show, you are welcome to do that. You can buy some merch. There's links to that on our website. You can donate via PayPal, also a link on the website. Or you can become a sustaining supporter on Patreon, which is patreon.com/thinkingsideways. No obligation, but we do love that support.
Yeah, thanks.
Absolutely.
Thank you. A lot of people have done that, and it's great. And if you haven't done that, that's fine. Don't feel guilty. I read tons of websites, and I don't hit the tip jar. So
is literally the thing that Joe says every week.
Yeah, it is. Yep. I know. Yeah.
All of that having been said, I think we're gonna get out of here.
I guess so. Another mystery solved.
Talk to you soon, guys.
Bye.
I got a train to catch.
Thinking Sideways is not brought to you by spoons. Instead, it's supported by the generous contributions of people like you, our listeners, on Patreon. Visit patreon.com/Thinking Sideways to learn more.
Thinking Sideways.
I don't understand.